This conference will now be recorded.
So I've connected to Microsoft Excel source. Okay. So like the way we can establish connection to the data sources. Now I'm creating a simple report as we created yesterday. Just double click on the sales. You understood about this, right? Let me go to the another report. Let's make a name for this. Double click on the name. Otherwise, sample report. So you can also right click on that, and there is an option rename. Using that, you can rename the sheet name. So this is the white space, whatever you can able to see here, that will be presented to the client when you deploy this dashboard or report to the server. Okay, so users don't see in server level, we can't see everything. When they are interacting with the report, they can able to see only these options. The white space, whatever here the cursor is showing, that will be presented to the clients. If you have sufficient edit permissions, so there will be couple of more options. You can able to edit, you can able to apply. Okay, you can manipulate the data. So whereas comes to further, there is a show me option. If you look at in the toolbar, there is an option show me, where you can able to see 24 visual templates. Just hover the cursor, and in the bottom you can see the visualization name and the static information of that visualization. Like for example, in the bottom, the first visualization name is text tables. To create that, what how many dimensions and how many measures are required? What is a limitation? This visualization supports for one dimension, one measure minimum. Okay, up to it supports for n number of dimensions and n number of measures. There is no limitation for that. Just to move the cursor to the second visualization in the bottom, you could see what is the visualization name, heat maps. To create this, at least one dimension, one measure is required. This visualization supports for n number of dimensions, up to maximum only two measures. If you are using more than two measures, this visualization get hidden. If you look at now, I am not using any dimension here, any measure here. It's a blank report. So all visual templates are in the hidden state. Got it? So like the way this is a heat maps, highlight tables, pie chart. These two are the geographical maps. One is field map, one is a symbol maps. This is a bar chart. This is a stacked bars, side by side bars. So like the way this is a tree map. So tree map is nothing but we can create parent child relation using visual template. So these all are the line charts, these all are the area charts, these are the combinational charts. So like the way we have a number of visualizations. How to use this visualization? For example, I'm using category, subcategory, sales. I want to create one bar chart. How to create a bar chart? Select the show me. So where is a bar chart? This is a bar chart. Select the bar chart. It creates a visualization. This is a bar graph, horizontal bar graph visualization. So you can see by default sales placed into the labels. Now sales placed into the columns. Got it? In the toolbar there is an object T, labels. Okay, select this. You can able to show each bar label value. Got it? So in the toolbar, there is one more option to swap. Swap rows and columns. What is the use of swap rows and columns? You can move the rows to the columns, columns to the rows. Got it? Categories, subcategories move to columns. Earlier sales placed in the columns now move to the rows. So like the way we can able to create a visualization by using visual template. So I did not create any bar graph, line chart, something, right? I simply selected one visual template. It created that visualization. Okay. So whenever I select by default, it creates a default visualization. If you look at all the bars are being shown, but there is no label for this because this visualization template by default it creates some format. Later you can customize this. Let's move to the sheet number 3. Now I want to create one bar graph. How to create a bar graph? Now I'm manually placing dimensions into the rows, measures into the column. Got it? So if you look at, this is a mark type. What is this? This is a mark type. When I am placing sales into the columns, it is taking mark type as bar. If you look at the label of the mark type. In the sheet 2 also, it is taking mark type bar. In case if if it takes a line by default, then what we have to do? We have to make a change to bar. This is the another way of customization using mark type. So by default, how it creates visual template by its own structure. Later you can customize this. Okay. So without selecting visual template also, we can create a visualization. For example, earlier we have created some text table, right? The default text table. Now I am manually creating visual text table. This is a clear the sheet option. Let's select this. All the dimensions and measures wherever it placed in the sheet that get removed. It clears everything. Now to create a sheet, select the category and drop it into the rows. Select the category with the left button of your mouse and drop it and leave the button. Now category and subcategory placed. Comes to the sales. Now I am placing sales to the text. Got it? So I want to use another measure. Double click on the profit. So if you look at when you are selecting multiple measures, okay, there are two measures being placed into the text, but not two measures placed separately. Those two measures placed as a single measure column, that is measure values. Measure names and measure values. If you look at these two are not coming from the Excel sheet. These two columns not available in the Excel sheet. Along with that, latitude, longitude, order count. These all are the columns Tableau desktop creates dynamically when a connectivity established to the source. Here we are connected to the orders table. That's the reason here it created a count of orders. Measure names and measure values are common for any of the data sources as well, including latitude and longitudes. Okay. Measure name. See, without measure name there is no measure value. Without measure value there is no measure name. Okay. What all are the measure names we have here? Sales is a measure name. I'm not talking about the underlying data of the sales column. I'm talking about only the naming convention of the column. So what is the column name? Sales. What is another column name? Quantity. What is another column name? Profit, discount. These all are the measure column names. The data which available under these columns will be part of measure values. Got my point? Column only measure column names will be measure names. Underlying data of those columns will be measure values. That's the reason this is a it works very intelligently to represent your data in a right manner. So that's the reason when you're placing measure names into the columns, so you could see measure names and also measure names placed into the filter section as well. We did not manually place anything. Dynamically Tableau has taken this. So just right click on this, edit filter. What all are the measure names we have? All available measure names will be part of a measure names column. When you select this, dynamically measure values will be displayed. If you want to restrict any of the measure, you need to restrict your measure name from the selection. For example, profit shown first, sales shown next. I want to display sales first, next profit. Under the measure values box, drag the profit next to the sales. Now the sales become first and the profit become next. Got it? So Tableau dynamically creating when you are placing more than one measure into your report, when you are using a text table, when you are using a text table. So if you're not using a text table, there is no use case of a measure names, because measure names is a discrete one. So what is discrete, what is continuous? How can you identify the discrete and the continuous ones? If the column pills being shown with a blue color label, that is a discrete. If the column pills shows with a green color, that is a continuous. Continuous always supports for aggregation, because that acts as a measure, that acts as a metric. Got it? So here you are performing sum of sales. Sum of sales is nothing but summing of how many records? 10,194 records, some value being shown, splitted into only 17 records. So if you want to write a query for this, what is a query for this? What is a query for this? So you are writing query, okay? So total how many? 10,194 records. Sum of sales. Sum of sales means what? Sum of sales of returns what? One value. One one aggregated value. Got it? This is a business sale amount. This is business sale amount. So now this business sale amount need to aggregate it to the selective dimensions. What are the selective dimensions? Category, subcategory, sum of sales. Can anyone write a query for this? We are using sales and profit. How to write a query for this? Any idea? Select category, comma, subcategory, comma, sum of sales, comma, sum of profit. From which table? Orders is a table, right? So when you are performing the sum, when you are performing any aggregation, so it has to be renamed as a sales. Why? Because in the report I'm showing as a sales profit separately. Otherwise, the naming convention will be taken as a sum of sales. So sum of sales with a alias name as a sales, sum of profit alias name as a profit. From table orders grew by, what we have to do? We have to use a dimensions which presented in the select statement before to the measure aggregations. Right. This is a select query of a sheet number 4. Okay. So like the way we need to write SQL queries. So one more thing. Here we are using sales and profit. Yes, you can use a more number of measures into the report. How to? Quantity. You can double click on this. Otherwise, edit measure names filter. From here you can have a selection. Sales, profit, quantity, discount. If you want to change order of any measure, yes, you can make a change by dragging and dropping next to any other measures from the measure values box. Measure values are placed into the text. Got it? If you remove measure names, what happens? All together collapsed and shown as a single column because you are placing measure values. Moreover, you have filtered measure names. So just remove the measure names. These are the measure values. When you are placing measure values, what happens? All the measure values being shown, but you cannot identify. No, let's remove measure names from the detail. This is a measure value. This is a measure value. So all the measure values will be shown on a single cell because, as I said, the underlying values of all the measures will be part of measure values. When you are placing the measure values, obviously all the measure values being presented there. Got it? So to make it visually impressive, to make it properly arranged in the report, let's place measure names. See the difference. Sales, profit, quantity, discount. Got it? So like the way it works. So it is dynamically taking when you're double clicking on multiple measures. You can also manually create the same. But the thing, when you're creating, you should be very clear what I am placing, where I am placing. I'm placing measure names into the columns. If you look at when I am placing measure names, no measure values, because without a measure value there is no measure. Without a measure value there is no measure. Let's place measure values into the text. Got it? So let's place measure values into the columns. Measure name, this is a measure name. So measure names obviously have which returns measure names. When you are placing measure values into the columns, it creates a horizontal bar graph. What is this bar? Horizontal bar. When you select T label, it's a show mark label option. When you select this, the respective mark labels are being shown. Correct? So like the way you can able to create a horizontal bars. Got it? Let's undo this. Okay, if you look at here, measure names is presented here. I'm right clicking, I'm duplicating this one. Okay, both the reports are same. See the customization of both the reports. And when I'm selecting the T label, it is performing some operation, it is showing some measure values. Got it? Let's second. So this is a undo button. So undo, redo. Okay. So the shortcut keys for these two options is when you select undo, it goes to the previous. Again, if you select undo, it goes again to the previous. If you select again it goes to the previous. Like the way you can move forward and you can go backward with all the changes. Got it? So, mm, so like the way you can able to create major names with their labels. If you look at this is count of orders. This is the value showing as a value. Got it? So let's move to the another sheet. Category, subcategory. I'm placing measure values. So if you place measure values, what happens? It is a summing of all the measures. It is a summing of all the measures. So in the single bar, it is showing all the measures. You cannot differentiate that. If you select right side, it is showing the sales. So when you hovering the cursor on any of the mark, some details being shown. That is called tooltip. Based on the hovering the mark, more details being shown under the tooltip. You can customize the tooltip. We can discuss later that point. Okay. So here you can able to create a visualization like this. Otherwise, this is a sheet 5, right? Now I'm placing sales, profit, quantity, discount. I'm filtering out. So whenever sales, profit, quantity, discount. Okay, like this. Okay. In sheet 6, if you look at, I have created similar sheet. Sales, profit, quantity, discount. I'm applying labels for this. Got it? So both are same, but you should understand here we have the marks card. How many marks cards we have? We have only one marks card. Whereas comes to the sheet 6, it has how many marks cards? All marks card is one. For sales we have one marks card, profit we have one marks card, quantity we have one marks card, discount we have one more marks card. So when you are placing a individual measure into the columns or rows, then it is maintaining one special marks card for that respective measure. Whereas comes to the sheet 5, what you are placing here, we are placing measure values. So measure values is only one, it acts as only one measure. You are splitting measure values with the column names of the measures. That's the reason it is splitted into various measure names. But only one measure will being used. That's the reason only one marks card presented in the in the report. Got it? So now I'll come back again. I'm creating one report, category, subcategory, sales. Okay. I don't want to see all the categories, all the categorical bars being shown with a single color, blue color. I don't want that. I want to classify because data visualization major property is to differentiation with the colors for easy understanding, right? So then how to differentiate with the colors? What is the requirement? I want to differentiate labels based on the categories. Based on the categories, let's drag and drop a category into the colors section. What is happening? each color shown with a independent color. I mean each category shown with independent color. Each category classified with the colors. Correct. This is a colors legend. Right click on it. There is an option editor. What is this? This is a color legend. Right click on it. Edit colors. Yes, it is applied with the blue color, but I don't want to give blue color for the furniture. Select some other color. I'm selecting yellow for furniture. For office supplies, I want to give brown color for office supplies. For technology, I want to give light gray. Got it. So like the way you can able to edit the colors. This is about how to segregate the report with the various colors. Okay, so we should understand here sheet 5 and sheet 6. In the sheet 5 I want to create measure names with the different colors. I mean, we'll take same scenario case. I want to differentiate categories with I want to represent the categories with different colors. Categories, three categories. So according to the requirement I am placing category into the colors. So what is happening? The category colors being applied for all the measure graphs, all the measured bars. Correct. But take a scenario in the sheet 5, this category color being applied for all the measures. I don't want to apply category color for all the measures. I want to apply category color independent for each measure. For example, in the discount I am showing with yellow. For furniture category, let's filter out only furniture. This is a ad hoc filtration. Just to select the value, hover the cursor, select an option, keep only. Okay, let's take this as an example. Furniture has a four measures here. Four measures being shown with the same color. I don't want to display four measures with the same color. Discount has to show one color, profit has to show another color, quantity has to show third, sales has to show fourth. Four measures has to show with the four colors for the filter value category furniture. That is a one requirement. Okay, let's move to the sheet number 8. Yes, we are manually placing, we are able to create a report. How many subcategories we have? 17 subcategories we have. When you look at show me, those are few visualizations are highlighted here and the remaining are at a hidden state. Why? Because, for example, let's look at the geographical maps. What is this? To create what is a requirement? I mean, requirement of columns is what? At least one geographical dimension is required. We are not using any geographical dimension. How to identify geographical dimension? Geographical dimensions shows with the globe label. We are not using any globe label dimension in the report. That's the reason we are unable to show geographical maps. That won't get highlighted until you use a geographical dimension in the report. Let's move to this one. To create this line, okay, what requires it requires a date column. One date column is mandatory to create this line chart. Got it? So in this complete row, on the second one area charts, this also, these two also, if you want to create one date column need to be used in the report. Got it? So what is this? This is scatter plot. To create a scatter plot, if you look at how many dimensions are required, actually there is no dimension required to create a scatter plot. Zero or more dimensions. What is the statistic information? Zero or more dimensions. 2 to 4 measures. So without using a dimension, we can create a scatter plot, but we have required at least 2 measures, maximum 4 measures. Got it? So like the way, based on the dimensions and measure use cases, the respective visualization visual templates get highlighted. Let's select this packed bubbles. Now I'm selecting packed bubbles. This is a packed bubbles. So what is happening when I'm selecting a packed bubble? Can you brief me about this visualization?
Based on the data, it will show the size of the bubble.
Based on the data. What data?
Okay. Value of the data. If it is a value, for example, any of the value is more, it will bubble size will be increased.
So if you look at clearly observe the visualization, sales placed into the size. We should understand what was a mark type allocated for bubble circles. Okay, so bubble size is defined based on the sales measure performance, because in the current report I am using the sales. If the sales is high, the circle size is high. Correct. Category and subcategory both placed into where? Text tables, because these two shown with the T label, both placed into the text label. The category which is placed into the where? Colors. So that's the reason this color legend represents three colors. When you select this, the respective data get highlighted in the report. If you want to deselect, you can select it outside of the report, or you can select the same value. Got it? So this is a highlighter option we have in Tableau. You can also remove the highlighter. This is a highlighter option. Let's select again. The selection don't impact to the visualization. If you want to impact of this visual selection, let's select highlighter. Got it? So simple. You can create the same visualization without using a visual template. How to create that? Let's place the sales into the size. When I'm placing sales into the size, by default, what was a mark type selected? Square. Correct? Now I want to place categories and subcategories. Categories into the labels. I want to place a subcategories into the labels. What is happening? It assigning a square for each category and each subcategory. Correct? Now let's place a sales into the size. Sorry, sales are already placed into the size. Let's place a color category into the colors. What happens? What is this visualization? Now this visualization is a tree map. This visualization is a tree map. If you change mark type to circle, this is a bubble chart. You can see sheet in 8 and sheet 9 are same. In the sheet 9, the category this is showing in the bottom. The sheet 9, now it is both the same now. Okay, this mark type, if you change the mark type to square, it is showing a tree map. How I am saying a tree map? Let's do undo. This is a bar, right? I'm duplicating this. changing mark type to square. Now I'm using category, subcategory, sales. Go here. What is this? Tree map. Select the tree map. This is a tree map. If you look at sheet 9 and 2, both are same or not? Both are same or not? Only one thing difference. Here category we placed into the colors. Here sales placed into the colors. When you placed sales into the colors, what happens? How many marks we have here? 17 marks. Follow my cursor. Because we are using subcategory column, subcategory has a 17 subcategories. Obviously 17 marks will be presented. So when 17 marks are presented, what happens? Subcategories are part of category. Here category acting as a higher dimension, subcategory acting as a lower dimension. Means what? We discussed about what is the dimension? Subpart dimension, shrunken dimension, right? In the shrunken dimension, subcategory is part of a category. Subcategory is a shrunken dimension to the category. So there is a parent-child relation between two dimension columns. Here also parent-child relation established already. How I am saying, if you look at the size of the visualization, this total size, follow my cursor, this total square size belongs to which category? Technology. If you look at these all are categorized based on their categories. Here these all four subcategories part of one category, that is technology. That's the reason these four are grouped and showing as a one square. There is a big separation with a white color line to classify. Below are the subcategories belongs to another category, that is furniture. If you look at the right side, here the remaining 7 or 8 subcategories which are part of one more category, that is office supplies. Got it? So the visualization itself classified into three major squares. Okay, actually based on the performance of the sales, the size is defined as rectangles, but the actual mark selected here is a square. That's what I am setting this as a square. Total visualization classified into three major squares. Again three major squares classified based on their part of subcategories. If a category has four subcategories, again the major square splitted into four subcategories. 1 2 3 4, correct? Moreover, when you placed sales into the colors, what happens? Here it's very clear, sum of sales we are using into the colors. You have 17 marks, so obviously 17 sum of sales values presented in the report. 17, among the 17, one value is a minimum value, one value is maximum value. The minimum value is 8,532, maximum is 3,35,768. The color hue is given like this, minimum to maximum. By default, it has taken blue color. So light blue represents it has least sale amount. A thick blue color represents it has a highest sale amount. If you look at, so these all are the sales, very thin color. The color hue is very thin, so that the sale amounts are very less for these. In this category, this is thin. Copy it. This is the less performed sale amount of subcategory. These two are the thin. So these are the thick. These two are the thick in office supplies, and in furniture chairs is the this one, and in technology this is this one. But both are similar. If you look at size, the size of the sales is also defined, what is higher, what is smaller than the higher one. So furniture's chairs is highest sales. Technology's phones is a second sales. Got it. So like the way we can able to analyze the visualization, this is a tree map visualization. So if sheet 9 also, it is also a tree map. If you look at both are same except color classification. Here color classification given based on the measure, here color classification given based on a dimension value, but everything as a grouped based on their respective higher dimension. Subcategory is a shrunken dimension to the category. So subcategory shown part of a category. That's the reason when you look at here, these all are belongs to one category, below or belongs to one other, and below the side one represents some other category. Got it right? So like the way it is differentiated, this is example for the tree map. Later we will again discuss about the tree maps. Just I'm presenting how the visualizations are presented in the report, how it is getting classified. Okay, so see here, between these two, what is the difference? Just mark type is a difference. If you change this to the circle, both are same. If you change a mark type to square, it became a tree map. Tree map is nothing but making a parent child relation. Yes, here we are making a parent child relation. How we are making a parent child? What is a higher dimension? The dimension which is placed is a first is a higher dimension. Take now, category is a higher dimension. Under the category there are multiple subcategories. That's the reason subcategories are grouped as a category and shown with one color. In the sheet number 11, subcategories are grouped and shown as a relevant a big square. Got it? So like the way we can able to play with visualizations. So to play with the visualization, what plays a key role here? The dimensions and measures where you are placing, what mark type is utilizing. Okay, so what it is representing is matters. It changes the visualization. Visual impact is like this. Got it? So as a given sheet number 5, this is my visualization. So I am asking you to create a similar visualization to display each measure with a independent color with respect to the category. For example, category furniture has to display one color with a discount, one color with a profit, one color with a quantity, one color with a sales. I don't want a unique color for entire category among all the measures. That is the requirement on the visualization part. Got it? So that you have to practice and you have to make it ready. Let's 1 second. Sorry. Now, category, subcategory, sales. Got it? Now, based on the requirement, I'm showing category, subcategory wise sales. I don't want to see all categories in the report. I don't want to see all categories in the report. So on immediate, we know there is a filter option in the data source page. So I want to display only furniture and office supplies as per my requirement. So obviously what we will do, we will apply a filter in the data source page for category furniture and office supplies. Let's apply this. Go correct. When you comes to the sheet 12, that filter being applied here. I can able to see furniture and office supply. Yes or no? But the same filter being applied throughout all the worksheets. Here also I am showing furniture and office supplies. But I don't have a requirement here. I have to show all categories. All categories. But here it is restricting my data. So in sheet 2, same, sheet 3, sheet 4, sheet 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. If you apply a filter at a data source page, this filter being applied throughout all the worksheets. Am I correct? That's the reason these type of filters called as a data source filters. What is the data source filter? These filters created in the data source page. And we can make a note, data source filters are applied to all the worksheets which uses the same data source. Which uses the same data source. If you look at I'm using the same data source. How I am saying I'm using this data source? Because there is a blue color tick mark. There is a blue color tick mark which represents this sheet being utilized by this data source. This sheet connected to this data source, because there will be multiple data source connections. So if you apply a filter in the data source page, that will be applied throughout all the worksheets. But based on my requirement in the sheet 1, I want all categories. In the sheet 2, remaining all the sheets, I want all categories except sheet number 12. Except sheet number 12. Go to the sheet number 12. Now drag a category to the filters section. Drag and drop your column to the filter section. Now you can see similar type of new dialog box for the filter section. What I want furniture and office supplies. Yes, this is the way of filter selection. When you have n number of values, when you want to show all the values except one value, you can only exclude that value. That will be easiest way, because it's very clear, right? So when you are applying the filters, each sheet converts your visualization to the query against to the data source. Then only the respective data get visualized. Without SQL query, you cannot run a query to the database. Correct. So it has to run, it has to convert your visualization. That's the reason Tableau is patent of VSQL. So it converts your visualization to the queries. So for example, similarly, let's take the query category subcategory sum of sales. This is I'm using now from orders. Correct. Here, what I have to do? I have to do where category in what are the two values? Furniture, comma, office supplies. This is the query get executed. Correct. comes to the SQL. So this is category, subcategory, sum of sales, categories are furniture and office supplies. This is the query executed here. Now I'm writing a similar query. So when this query getting executed, what happens in the backend? What happens in the backend? As I said, we are dealing with RDBMS. RDBMS always the cursor placed at row number one. In the row number one, what it has to verify? It has to verify whether category is furniture or office supplies. It goes to the respective column. What is the condition? Category is furniture, not. For example, again category is office supplies. Yes. So for each record, it has to verify two conditions. Correct? For example, I'm copying the similar query, pasting here, category not equal to technology. Got it? Category not equal to technology. Now go back to the data source. So in the RDBMS, the cursor placed at row number one. So what it has to verify? It has to verify category should not equal to technology. There is only one condition. So category, is it a technology? Not. It a result as a successful result. Cursor moves down. It verifies category is not equal to technology. Yes. Category not equal to technology. Category not equal to technology. Yes. So there is a unwanted execution is eliminated by using my query here. Correct. So when you have such scenario cases, you should opt the right solution which gives higher performance. Similarly, here I am opting when I have three values, instead of selecting two values, I am excluding technology. Obviously, my result will be remain same as per my expectation. Correct. So it is somehow improves the report performance. This is the logic. So I have to take a right approach to improve the report performance. So even I'm not sure how much you are expert in SQL, but this is the way of writing SQL queries. These all are very simple SQL queries. Got it? So like the way we should think when you are writing, when you are developing the reports, because the visualization importance is when a company owner sits to analyze his business performance, the report has to show the information within seconds. After opening the Google, if you are able to see search engine for 5 minutes, you don't proceed with the Google. You will choose some other correct, some other alternate search engines. Why you are choosing Google every time? Because it is giving results in the seconds. So their time is very valuable. 1 minute equal to $100 or $1,000 or something like this. Okay. So like the way we should think when you are creating the visualizations. Okay. Let's create one more visualization. Category, subcategory, sales. Okay. What we discussed about filter, right? What is this filter? This is a normal filter, sheet level filter. So let's duplicate this. furniture and office supplies. Like the way when you have a requirement, you can able to filter out the data. If you look at the applied filter being applied on the respective worksheet, it is not impacted into any other worksheets. Correct? If it is not impacting like data source filter, it is a independent sheet filter. What is the next filter? Sheet filters or normal filters. These filters applied to the worksheets where it was created. All of these filters using to for which purpose? To filter to restrict the records, not the columns. One second. Okay. Now, if you want to apply any other filter, you can apply the filters. Now I'm dragging. I want to see how many years of data I have. There may be a number of years. I want to verify and I want to filter out for only latest year. Okay, when you're dragging a date filter to the filter section, we have multiple options: relative dates, range of dates, years, quarters, months, days, week numbers, week days, month, day, year, likewise. Correct. So in which option need to be opted? What is my requirement? I want to filter out latest year data. Latest year data. So I have to opt year option. Correct. What is the latest year? 2023. Apply it. Got it? Like the way you can able to filter out your data based on the years. For example, I want to drag I want to filter out the data based on sale amount. Let's drag sales into the filter section. When you're dragging sales into the filter section, what is the returning? Which aggregation you want to perform? Sum of sales are based on average of sales are median, count, counter distinct, minimum, maximum, standard deviation, population, variance, attributes, all values. I want to go with the sum. When you are selecting the sum, there are multiple options being shown. A range of values. Under the range of values, it dynamically displays what is the least value, what is the maximum value available in the report. The least is 3379, that is 3378.574. The actual value is 3378.574. The aggregated value is the rounded value is 3379. This is the rounded value, not the exact value available in the database. This is rounded value. 98032, yes, this is. But there are few decimal places as well, dot 377. This is rounded value being shown in the report. So accordingly, you can adjust. You can adjust the values minimum and maximum both the ways. Whereas comes to the at least, you can set up a value at least. For example, I want to filter out the data records who are having sales more than 30,000. Yes, this returns a sales list subcategories which have the sales more than 30,000. So you can able to set one what we can say threshold value for minimum. This is the threshold value for maximum setup. For maximum, how much? I want to give 30,000. So what happens? Up to maximum 30,000 sales subcategories list being shown. If any subcategory has a sales more than 30,000, that won't be shown in the report. Correct? This is the special. Under the special, how do you want to filter out? There might be a number of null values, there might be a number of not null values. So what type of value you want to display? If you want to display only null values, you can able to display, but there is no record having sale amount as null. That's the reason the report become blank here. When you select non null, obviously it has to display all the records. Correct. So if you look at a time I can able to select at a time I can able to opt to one of the option among the four. If I'm applying special, it is not applying the remaining conditions. If you are using at most, it not using at least. If you're using range of values, it won't select the values from remaining tabs. You can opt only one option here. Got it? So you can reset the filter as well. Like the way you can able to filter out your data. Now I am going with at least 30,000. The subcategories list which has a sales more than 30,000 has to be shown my report by default. Whenever I open, it has to show the subcategories list which has a sales more than 30,000. Yes, I achieved this. Like the way we can able to apply the filters on measures. Like the way we can able to apply the filters on dates. Like the way we can able to apply the filters on a dimension, string data type. That's category. Clear? So I given one scenario. What is that? Somewhere I given, right? This is the scenario, sheet number 5. I have categories, subcategories on the various measures. All the measures showing with a same color for furniture category. I don't want that. I want to see same category with the people measure colors. The measure color must be independent for each measure for each category. For example, if I select all subcategories, sorry, all categories, what is happening here? Each category showing with one color. I don't want each category has to show one color for each measure. If you look at office supplies, I want to see office supplies with different colors with different measures. I don't want to be office supplies has to show with the same color among all the measures. Likewise, I need one report. That is scenario for you. Saving as a Tableau packaged workbook. What is the class here? Tableau class. Visualizations. Okay, I'm ending the session for today. We'll continue.